The PK folk.
Hello there. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. Our lone major story tonight: President Paul Biya's bid for an 8th term sparks widespread dismay among politicians, civil society actors, human rights defenders, and many others who see it as an overreach given his 43-year leadership, while some view the move as a predictable step within the CBN party's current framework. Others lament the implications for Cameroon's future. That is our main story tonight. The news in full in a jiffy. Thank you so much for staying with Equinoxe Television. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. A student researcher and international marketing professional known as Matthias Nana has highlighted concerns about the online voters verification platform in Cameroon. In a letter to the LECAM director, Nana notes that the electoral list still includes deceased individuals. He argues that improving the platform is crucial for maintaining peace before and after elections, boosting voter and participation, and also promoting transparency. Ese Luciliengo has more on this.
A student researcher and international marketing professional, Matthias Nana, addresses a letter to the director of the election governing body in Cameroon, LECAM. In his letter, Matthias Nana notes the initiative of the online verification platform for registered voters, but highlights some limitations that, in his view, do not guarantee transparency.
Tout le bruit qui se fait autour de cette liste électorale depuis plusieurs mois maintenant entache la crédibilité de l'ECAM.
He notes that the names of deceased persons are still on the electoral list, including 2 former members of the Constitutional Council who are listed as active voters. Meanwhile, living individuals find it difficult to locate their names on the electoral list.
Est réapparu sur la liste, malheureusement, c'est pas le cas.
This lack of transparency, according to him, poses a significant risk to national cohesion in a country that already bears the scars of regional divisions.
Rendre public cette liste électorale dans un format téléchargeable en PDF ou en CSV aidera l'ECAM.
Matthias Nana asserts that for peace to prevail before and after elections, l'ECAM should consider adjusting the portal. He requests that
rendre public cette liste électorale dans un format téléchargeable en PDF.
I ask that l'ECAM publish the complete and redated register in downloadable format as soon as possible. I also think that the institution should provide a daily log for any additions, deletions or corrections so that all changes can be tracked.
Pays comme le Ghana, le Kenya qui le font déjà depuis 2017.
He also says if these issues are resolved, a voter whose name is on the electoral list will be more motivated to vote than one whose name is not. October 12, 2025 will mark a pivotal moment in Cameroon's history.
And still talking about the upcoming elections that will be taking place on the 12th of October 2025, Babla Jonathan comes back to President Paul Biya announcing that he's going to be a candidate for the upcoming elections. He gives us reactions of some other politicians who say they are kind of perplexed following his announcement. Details in this report.
They had been asking the President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya, to step aside after 43 years of leadership at the helm of the state. President Paul Biya stands for re-election.
I am not surprised by the candidacy of President Biya. Biya is here from the beginning. If you analyze his way to the presidency, he is not ready to join us in the hell he created for his population. The only place good here in Cameroon is the presidency of the Republic. It is the only one. He has our police, he has our army, he has our money, he has everything, and he just uses it against us, against our well-being. for 43 years. It's too much.
To those who had been highlighting the age of the President of the Republic, 92, and what they qualify as a negative and even catastrophic balance sheet, it is a disappointment that was, however, predictable.
Is enough, and I say enough is enough. I don't want him to be my next president for 7 more years. This is absolutely not possible. But it depends on you. It depends on me. You must know how to make him out of the rails. You know, don't vote for him anymore. Everything is bad. Not only the roads. Do you have hospital? Are you ready to go to Geneva to have your health? Why didn't he go to the general hospital here when he's sick? He knows. There is nothing to expect from the hospital in Cameroon.
They are now asking Cameroonians to vote wisely.
In a similar story, Cameroonians should be in a state of mourning for their country following the announcement by incumbent President Paul Biya to go in for the 8th term of office. This is a view of a political analyst in Douala who says that seeking another mandate is an exaggeration for a man who has led Cameroon for over 43 years now. They, however, say that the declaration wasn't unexpected considering the current state of affairs when the ruling CPDM party. Said for me, Armstrong Sander has more.
It's official and public that Paul Biya wants another mandate at the helm of Cameroon, but in the city of Douala, political analysts say that this announcement was not unexpected. It's not surprising because Paul Biya does not present himself. He is invested by the CPDM, and to the best of my knowledge, the party has not had its ordinary or extraordinary congress before the convening of electorate. In other words, we understand what has become an open secret for the Biya agenda at the helm of Cameroon, which is to hang on to power till death. Mourir au pouvoir. A hunt for an 8th mandate considered as an exaggeration by some CPDM party militants, opposition party supporters, and civil society actors.
This black signifies already the mourning for the state of Cameroon. We have to start mourning for the state because the news that reached us yesterday, the declaration of a 92-year-old president, Paul Biya, wishing to stand again, has put us at a mood and a state of mourning already, and that is why I'm on black.
Au sommet de son âge, il ne peut plus tenir, bon voter pour quelqu'un d'autre.
Like Andre Marie Biboum, these political analysts think that Paul Biya no longer governs Cameroon by himself, highlighting his age of over 92 and his more than 4 decades reign. The actors doubt his capacity to effectively manage Cameroon. They believe that the ballot on October 12, 2025 provides an opportunity for Cameroonians to make or mar their country.
Cameroun, et on sait quel est le poids électoral de cette région.
Laurent Asipolo, like NDIWUM Emmanuel and Andre Biboum, say that a strong and intentional coalition that goes beyond ideological and social differences is highly needed to be able to oust the lion man, Paul Biya.
Still talking about President Paul Biya's candidacy for the upcoming presidential elections, international media outlets, including BBC and France 24, have expressed diverse reactions over President Paul Biya's candidacy for October 2025 elections in Cameroon. At 92 years old, the president's age and health have raised questions about his ability to lead the nation. Annabella read through some of the headlines and compiled this report for the 6 p.m. news.
As 92-year-old President Paul Biya declares his candidacy for the October presidential election in Cameroon, reactions have been varied on social media landscape. The British Broadcasting Corporation, the BBC, titles the world's oldest head of state, 92-year-old, has said he will run once more for re-election in October, aiming to extend his 43 years power. A similar headline on BFM TV and other international channels who paid close attention on Paul Biya's old age. BFM TV says 92-year-old Paul Biya seeks re-election for the umpteenth time. And back to the country, the national press was not indifferent as well. Le Messager titles,
We are finished. Weak and fair Paul Biya seeks another 7-year mandate. The man who has been at the top of affairs in Cameroon with no headway, plagued by poor governance and extreme poverty for 43 years, wants to be re-elected. Integration on its front page writes, Paul Biya, the ghost candidate. Paul Biya, presence of the country, but who Cameroonians have not physically seen for several years now, seeks another term in office. Mutation today on the front page informs that Paul Biya would had earlier said when the time comes, Cameroonians will know if he is going to the village or not. The time is finally here, and Paul Biya isn't going to the village, according to Mutation. The 92-year-old says he will stand again as the CPDM presidential candidate in October, and the best is yet to come if he is given a chance for another 7-year mandate. If so, Paul Biya, the oldest head of state in the world, who took office since 1982, would have ruled Cameroon for 50 years if given another mandate this October.
And 72 hours after the convening of the electorate, pressure is mounting on LECAM workers as Cameroonians rush to obtain their voters' registration card. Meanwhile, authorities claim work is being done to address concerns and provide answers to citizens' queries. Our reporter Mala Glory visited the Douala 1 Council branch and tells us about the situation over there.
It is a calm atmosphere here at the LECAM office, Douala 1 Council branch, this Monday, July 14, 2025, where some already registered Cameroonians rushed to get their voters' cards. I got registered in 2024, so I came today to collect my card.
Oui, je suis là justement pour.
I need that card because we all need change in this country.
Pour ça, on doit changer ce pays, vraiment.
Workers at the LECAM office who wish to remain unanimous says that aside distributing cards, they equally inform those who come to get themselves registered that it is late and can only do that in January 2026. At the same time, guiding others on where to collect their voters' cards. After verification, I was asked to go to Douala 5 Council, where I will vote. This comes after the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, convened the electorate last Friday ahead of the 2025 elections in Cameroon.
And in a similar story, LECAM is now preparing to receive candidate applications and finalize electoral list following Cameroon's presidential elections is set for October 12 after President Paul Biya convened the electorate on the 12th of July. Siri Chakutio reports.
The race for Cameroon's presidential election officially began on Friday, July 12, 2025, with President Paul Biya convening the electorate for October 12, 2025. After this step, LECAM has to proceed to the counting of inhabitants registered on the electoral list. Once the electorate has been convened, registration stops. And once that's done, the first task we do is to compile all the data recorded in the kits. Once that's done, all this data is sent back to the National Center for Verifications, and voters' cards will then be distributed. For candidates declared for this presidential election, they have to compile their applications and submit them within tight deadlines to the various regional branches of LECAM, the body in charge of electoral process. Once the electoral roll revision is complete, we begin counting the number of days for the various candidates to submit their applications. We are talking about 10 days before the submission of the different candidacies.
Donc on a 10 jours pour ça et le décompte commence dès la convocation du corps électoral.
But submitting applications on time within 10 days after the electoral body being convened does not guarantee effective participation on the starting line for all participants. The applications will still have to be validated.
Donc tous ceux qui veulent
For anyone who wishes to be an independent candidate, we have documents that we can provide to them, regardless of where they registered. Candidates rejected at this stage will then be able to appeal to the Constitutional Council for a final decision on each of the disputed cases.
And now we talk sports. Mourners at the funeral of former Indomitable Lion player Emmanuel Kunde described him as an iconic figure and a role model for current generations. The ceremony, led by Littoral Governor Samuel Dubois, highlighted Kunde's lasting impact. Sportsman Smaji Gabriel has the details.
Kunde Emmanuel Jérôme.
The last recognition given to Emmanuel Kunde by the state.
Nous vous faisons commandeur de l'ordre national à valeur à titre posthume.
Littoral Regional Governor Samuel Dubois, personal representative of the head of state during the funeral of one-time Indomitable Lions player, described him as an icon to Cameroon. It was a dark day in Kakak village in Dum of the Sanaga Maritime Division, Littoral Region. Friends of Emmanuel Kunde present at the funeral say he wasn't just a legend but a hero. A man who wasn't just a football player nor a legend. Emmanuel Kunde was a hero. According to Joseph Bell Antoine, Emmanuel Kunde played an impressive role in his life throughout his stay in the national football team. The Cameroon Football Federation was also present during the funeral at Ndum village. Emmanuel Kunde was an exceptional man. They gave him their all. He was a proud Cameroonian and an African. Elsewhere, Cameroon's Christian Michel Kofani has moved to Bundesliga outfit Bayer Leverkusen. The 18-year-old, who was formerly with the Segunda División side Albacete Balompié in Spain, played 20 games, scored 8 goals and had 1 assist in the 2024-2025 football season. Christian Michel Kofani was born in Cameroon and has played for the under-20 team in 2024. It is the second senior career team for the young Christian Michel Kofani.
That sport element ends this first part of the news. Up next is Cameroon Today. Tonight, Cameroon Today takes a deep dive into the struggles of Ngassa village in Mara's far north region of the country, where a neglected health center and stalled bridge construction, residents face daily hardships. Smaji Gabriel reports live from Ngassa, bringing you the untold stories of this community. His report.
A distance of less than 5 kilometers separates the village of Ngassa from the main town of Marwa. Ngassa is a village under the Marwa 1 Council. Motorbikes are the only means of transportation under a poor road network. The first stop was at the Integrated Health Center of Ngassa. The signboard alone gives us the zeal to visit the health center. The structure housing the health center resembles a haunted home arranged to shoot a horror movie. As we made our way into the health center, no personnel was present. Roofs blown off by violent winds and some equipment bought from the sweat of Cameroonians is in poor state, with some covered with dust and some helping us residents for baths who have become the real owners of the health center. Many believe that the health center is just a name. You can see how we are managing with our health center. You see that bats have taken over control of the health center. The delivery bed and other equipment are all bad, and violent winds had also removed the roofs. I don't even know how to describe it again. Inhabitants of Ngassa village and those around them say they are going through hell, while in the village, whenever situation comes up, and worse still, when a pregnant woman wants to put to bed, all of the nurses and the chief medical officers are not even available. Even when they come, no good working space for him to work. It's not going. If a woman wants to put to bed during rainy seasons, if we don't get a motorbike, we are forced to carry her on our back to town. That is how we suffer here. we are Cameroonians, and even our cry in front of the authorities means nothing. The horrible state of the Integrated Health Center of Ngassa is no secret to the local authorities, who have decided to give deaf ears to the cry of the population. We have been complaining every day. Even the chief medical officer, alongside traditional leaders, have gone to bed, but nothing has changed. Joined on telephone, the chief medical officer of the Integrated Health Center of Ngassa, who is tongue-tied on the difficult working environment, refused reacting, sending us back to what we saw on ground. The poor and abandoned health center of Ngassa is not the only preoccupation of the people of Ngassa. Gaining access into Ngassa is another thorn on the flesh of the inhabitants, because the bridge that was supposed to link the village to Marua town is abandoned. Works on this bridge were launched 3 years ago, but it suddenly stopped 1 year now without any explanation. For one to go to the health center, you must cross this river. No bridge. Going to the town is not possible. Worse still, during rainy seasons, getting basic commodities is difficult. The bridge is done on paper, but not physically. With rains still to effectively take off in Ngassa village, commercial motorbikes can still manage to pass around the shores of the Mayo. But in days to come, passing here will be very risky. Again, we are told the abandoned work on the Mayo bridge is known by the authorities, but no statement. Our source told us it was a local company that won the contract, and because of the cost noticed while on ground, the company simply abandoned the work.
And that exclusive report on the significant challenges faced by the people of Ngassa village ends the second part of the news. Talking Point is up next. Our guest tonight is a political analyst. He's known as NDIWUM Emmanuel. Good evening, NDIWUM Emmanuel. It's a pleasure to have you in Talking Point tonight.
Yes, thank you very much, Immaculate, and it's a pleasure to be here. As you can see, I'm dressed in black. This black signifies already the mourning for the state of Cameroon. We have to start mourning for the state because the news that reached us yesterday, the declaration of a 92-year-old president, Paul Biya, wishing to stand again, has put us at a mood and a state of mourning already. And that is why I'm on black. Thank you.
As you rightly said, 92-year-old President Paul Biya, who has been in power for nearly 43 years now, announced on Sunday on X that he will be a candidate in the upcoming presidential election. How did you feel after seeing this information?
Well, I don't know how other Cameroonians feel, but I feel ashamed of being a Cameroonian. But I want to go by his own words. When I went through the communique that you sent to me, the first line, he said, ensuring the security and well-being of the sons and daughters of our beloved. I underline the word beloved. And beautiful country is the sacred. I underline the word sacred. Duty. I have devoted my time and energy since assuming the helm of state. And he went further to say the results are palpable. Yes, they are palpable. At least we can understand how palpable the palpability of his results. Results of embezzlement. The results are palpable because corruption is alive. The results are palpable because we have state criminals who have been promoted to higher ranks. The results are palpable because we have youths who have completely lost hope for a tomorrow. And he went further to say the results are visible. Yes, I understand that the results are visible. And for once, I agree with President Paul Biya that his results are visible. At least we see people die every day on the streets. Those are visibilities of his administration for 43 years. We see people who can go for 5 months without electricity. Those are the visibilities of his administration. We have a country where a few statesmen, I don't know, unpatriotic statesmen have taken the state hostage. Those are the visibilities of his administration for 33 years. He went again far to say he is taking a state and that the results are laudable. Yes, the results are laudable. We understand how laudable it has been because at least some few state men have been promoted through their embezzlement skills, through their stealing skills, through their bribery and corruption skills. They are laudable. At least we can laud him for that. A statesman who took a nation where accountability was almost at 69%. Today, we have zero accountability. So we can agree with President Biya that his results are palpable, they are visible, and they are laudable. They are laudable because at least the number of people who die on road accidents every day in Cameroon, because first of all, we don't have roads, they are laudable. They are laudable because state criminality has increased. And of course, we must understand that we have to applaud for such failures. I've been asking myself since I saw this tweet, my mother who is watching from Abu Income, where network has not existed for the past 4 months. My mother who cannot access network, she's not yet aware that the president has tweeted that she will stand again as a president for life in my country. A country that can win the prize as the dirtiest country in the world. A country that can win the prize, at least Transparency International statistics can back me up for my statement, as the best country for corruption.
Now, NDIWUM Emmanuel, supporters of the regime argue that President Paul Biya has brought democracy and significant developments to Cameroon, citing the establishment of 11 state universities as an example. Listening to you, they are thinking that you are painting the president all black without taking into consideration his achievements. How do you respond to these claims from these supporters?
No, listen. Some of you journalists at times have a way of provoking us. When you ask, we can't paint him black. I think the laziest president the world has ever had is in Cameroon. A sit-tight president. The lone president who does not know the 4 walls of his country should be President Biya. If I were to score him over 20, I'll give him 3.5 over 20. He has failed. His report card is red. Even the blood that was taken at the altar as a sacrifice for Isaac was not as red as the report card of President Biya. And we want to think, we say it, we take responsibility, we think it is time. I was thinking particularly or personally that it was time for President Biya to apologize for Cameroonians. And like the Bible says, you have to forgive 77 times a day. We were supposed to forgive him 77 times and let him go with his crimes. He has promoted what no other modern president can promote. And to think again that he came on Twitter to provoke Cameroonians, reconforts our position that he's a missing president. He's a hiding president. We don't know where he is. Maybe he's tweeting from Swiss, who knows? He might be tweeting from Beijing, who knows? He might be tweeting from Hamburg, who knows? We don't know where he is because we have not been seeing him. We no longer want an absentee citizen. We no longer want an absentee president. I think it is time for Cameroonians to do the right thing. And that time is now. It is sad when you ask me whether he has done something good. Like I've said, he can score 3.5 over 20. He took a country that was in peace. History shall remember him as the man who took a country in peace and left the country in pieces. But I'm afraid that the days ahead are very pregnant should he insist and persist to stand. But we are watching, and we are watching very closely.
After 43 years in power, President Paul Biya claims the best is still to come. Considering his track record, what specific improvements or achievements can he realistically promise to deliver in the next 7 years that he hasn't accomplished yet for the past 43 years?
It is only a fool who will enter a 70-seater bus being driven by an 82-year-old man who cannot stand that long and still believe that he's in a safe driving. You see, Cameroonians cannot refuse old drivers in the bus stations and accept an old driver at the presidency. It is not done. Somewhere somebody asks, who does that? And I repeat tonight, who does that in Cameroon? If we are not in a permanent curse, this is the time for all Cameroonians. I'm calling even the ministers, they started resigning. And I'm calling on all the militants of civilian to stand up and say enough is enough. We need a new blood to inject into the system. Except otherwise, for the 43 years, those who have been worshiping him like God, some even canonize him already as a saint, which is sad for Cameroon. If those peoples, except their brains, have been removed and replaced by cotton, which I don't think that's the situation in place. If they can still reason for once, let them stand up and tell Pa, it is time to go down to Vomenka and rest. My grandfather is not up, my grandfather is about 85 years old. When I get to him as the first grandson, it takes him time to recognize me, only when I must have explained myself. And then who told you that President Biya is a superhuman, that at 92, he will still know everything? The country of Cameroon at this particular point in time needs somebody for a transitional period so that we can regain what has been destroyed in Cameroon. Like I once said, I am coming back from Northwest, and if you look at the shape of Northwest, you will cry for your motherland, Immaculate. You will cry for what is happening. From Mobile Quen right to Foncha Street, there is no route. And I saw the Prime Minister, who is a figurehead, a stooge, was in Bamenda, being used to tell us again that rehabilitation works will be relaunched. Why now? Why in 2025? You know how many people have died? We have military people dying because they cannot get to their point of service when duty calls because the route is not good. We have military men being ambushed, and tonight I am telling the military to leave politics and serve the nation. Let the election that has to come in 2025, in which we are in October 12th, let it be an affair for the civilians to exercise their civic duties. And I want to tell you, honestly, if President Biya is standing for another mandate, it is going to be a mandate for humiliation because he will not win. I don't see the magic that he will use this time because, first of all, the center in Etudi does no longer hold. We have seen signs and wonders coming out already.
However, we don't have proof on that. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation on Talking Point tonight, NDIWUM Emmanuel.
It's always a pleasure, and I cry for Cameroon. I will continue to put on my black until Cameroon smiles once again.
That's all put a cap to today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for always staying with us. In some few minutes, you'll be having Equinoxe with Serge Alain Otu, and exactly 8 p.m., you'll be having Irish Gonomala for the 8 p.m. primetime newscast. That's it, and have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye for now.